They are coming in as we speak. Okay, guys, we're going to give just a couple more seconds to get everybody in, and then we'll get started.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. Welcome to our webinar series. Today's topic is about how you can deploy client networking devices in minutes so you can slash your costs and eliminate hours your techs have to spend on them. My name is Tanya Gentry, and I'm going to be your moderator. And before I bring on our experts, I do have a few housekeeping items I'm going to go through. So yes, this will be recorded. So if you are here or you want to share this with someone else, we will be sending that recording out to you probably within about 24 hours after we're done. If you have questions, feel free to put it in the Q&A. That way we can make sure that it gets answered. We'll either answer it live or myself or one of the experts will be able to answer it for you, but make sure you put it in there so we don't miss it. Feel free to chat too, but this will be the best way for us to make sure that we get those questions answered for you. And we are raffling away a $500 gift card. So for anyone that stays on here, I will do the raffle at the very end. One of the things I will tell you is we're going to do a poll. And if you could answer that poll at the very end, we'd appreciate it. And then as soon as we're done with that, I will tell you who the winner is. So good luck to all of you. But now let me turn it over to our experts. So we have first up Ryan Grindrod, who is the Manager of Solutions Specialist with Kaseya. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then we have Gary Moore, who's a Senior Customer Success Engineer. So welcome, Gary. Thank you both for being on here. And I'm going to turn it right over to you guys.
All righty. Thank you so much, Tanya. I appreciate the introduction. You always do a great job. And I just hope that I am included in that raffle. I know I could do a lot of cool things with $500 for sure. Speaking of money, Tanya mentioned making money, slashing costs, operating more efficiently. Today, we're going to focus on the second half more so than the first half. So while I would argue and always do that data networking is one of the best ways to generate new revenue streams, and we will touch on that throughout the course of our next few minutes, I really want to focus on the IT complete vision, how networking in particular fits into that vision, and how it can help you and your teams to operate more efficiently and more effectively. So as mentioned, my name's Ryan. As mentioned also, I do manage solution specialists here at Kaseya. I come to Kaseya by way of Datto, joined the organization back in January 2018, and I came to Datto by way of managed services. So I've been in this space for quite some time. Experienced some troubles along the way, specifically in terms of how I could grow my business based on the networking solutions that I had access to at the time. Really enjoyed and became passionate and motivated by what Datto was doing uniquely in the networking space. Embraced it and became our first solution specialist. So from that day to this, I've worked with several different products, but all along the way, I have been overseeing the go-to-market strategy for networking. Gary, if you like, I can give you an opportunity to introduce yourself quick now, or we could take care of that when we move to you for the demo. Your choice.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Ryan. So I've been with Kaseya about 1.5 years now. My background is in systems engineering, so in the government and private sector. So here at Kaseya, I'm a customer success engineer. What we do is we help our partners with integrations, how to use. Oh, hello. Hey, David. We're here to help you with your integrations, manage your solutions, best practices, how you can be using your solutions better, defining your business processes. So all in all, we help you be more effective, be more efficient, and help you create that return on your investment.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gary. And Gary has a really cool past, so he's leaving out some details that are quite interesting. And if you ever run into him on the road, I highly encourage you to engage him. Not only is he one of the most brilliant minds I've met since working in IT, but he's just a down-to-earth, really cool guy too. So definitely take advantage if the opportunity presents itself. So we've got an agenda today. It is action-packed. The first thing that I'm going to attempt to do is to roll out the Kaseya vision, which we know as IT Complete. Going to talk about Datto networking. I'll provide you with a general overview. Why did we get into the networking space? What makes us different? And now that we couple it with IT Complete, how has that evolved in time? What I'm most excited for today is Gary's time. As mentioned, Gary works on all different kinds of integrations with many different products and services, and he knows networking really, really well. So Gary is going to take you through a day in the life, so you could actually see in real time what these integrations look like and how they could help you and your teams to be more efficient, to be more productive. And of course, we're going to leave times for Q&A. And hopefully one of us, Gary or I in particular, wins $500. So IT complete. On the next screen, what you're going to see are all of the different organizations that come together and have come together to make up what is today known as Kaseya. Kaseya has somewhere around 43 different products and services today. The vision and the goal for Kaseya is simple, is to serve multifunctional IT professionals, which means really do-it-all IT professionals, folks in the managed services space who are trying to manage multiple different applications and interface, keep documentation and track of multiple different credentials, and have a day that looks a little something like this, where they're bouncing from activity to activity to activity, operating out of all different platforms and cloud management solutions. And hopefully this doesn't make you as dizzy as it does me, but I think it really well illustrates the point of what it's like to work in managed services every day. At least that's what my experience was. So the do-it-all IT professional in our experience loses hours of productivity every day just bouncing between all of these applications. And as a result, in time, Kaseya has put together many different really valuable products and services, all of which are state-of-the-art in the IT space that are purpose-built to address the needs of said multifunctional do-it-yourself MSP type technicians. The full stack, when brought together, is complete, it's integrated, it's intelligent, and it's affordable. So we're looking to solve four major pain points for our partners. Productivity and efficiency is really deeply ingrained into all four. In IT Complete, we have many different suites. Today, we're going to talk about the networking suite. Within each suite, we have many different modules. So altogether, those things are deeply integrated to bring IT Complete and make it a reality. As mentioned earlier, I started at Datto many years ago. We got acquired by what was a competitor at the time. I keep a really open mind and I listen to the vision and I love it. And I'm so excited to share with you some of the things we've done in networking to integrate with other products and services to help you be more productive as you move forward in this space. So let's start with Datto networking. And the first thing that I'd like to do is just a quick level set. I think we can all agree that network connectivity is really important and reliable network connectivity is in high demand today. 100% of the folks who we service on a day-to-day require reliable networking in order to do business. I don't care if you're in the large enterprise space or if you're selling coconuts on a beach. If I sell coconuts on a beach, I need to make money. I probably have something like Clover, and I need to send that money to a bank account, hopefully offshores. And in order to do that, I require network connectivity. This is going to continue to get more complicated as we move forward. So when I started in managed services and I used to do things like prospect for new business, and I'd ask people who's managing their IT, they would tell me things like my brother's cousin's sister's uncle's dog is the IT manager and everything works great. Well, as we've continued to evolve, specifically looking at networking, the number of connected devices has continued to grow, and not only the number, but the types of devices. And what's happened is network connectivity has become, or the demand for network connectivity has heightened because without network connectivity, given that folks are now leveraging cloud resources, they're just not able to do their jobs anymore. You can't send invoices. You can't get access to your line of business application. You can't collect money. You can't call customers. But then when we make it more complicated by adding all of these Internet of Things devices, which are projected to accumulate to a total of 75 billion devices, it now is no longer feasible for the cousins, brothers, sisters, uncles, monkey to be the IT manager. And as a result, more and more small and medium businesses are reaching out to MSPs, not only for help backing data up and for security services, but also to ensure that they have reliable network connectivity. So I argue that networking is a profitable revenue generation tool for MSPs. Now, Datto got into this space back in 2017. Part of what we did was internally developed. We also acquired a company called OpenMesh. And the reason that we got into the networking space is we found that while there are dozens and dozens of different vendors to choose from when you're trying to figure out what switches will I buy and deploy, or access points or firewalls, all of them work within one of two different camps, one of two different business models. Now, I don't care which model you're in. My point isn't that the technology isn't good, because most networking vendors do make performant technology. It's more so how it's developed and what the strategy is to bring that networking equipment to market that doesn't really meet the needs of managed service providers. And these were the pains that I felt that got me really excited about Datto Networking when I joined the team way back in the day. So there's pros and cons on both sides, and the MSP has to figure out like which vendor or vendors will I choose to work with. If I look at that commodity type vendor, they design equipment for mass appeal. In turn, they sell it everywhere. So while I can share many pros and cons just for the sake of saving time, the one that used to frustrate me most is when I was selling those products and I'd go to my customer with a quote and I'd think, man, I'm going to win this deal because the equipment's fairly inexpensive. And heck, it doesn't even have any recurring licensing cost. It's going to be a slam dunk. And then the partner would go on the Google machine and they'd come back and say, hey, how come you're trying to charge me $200? It says here I could buy this device for $150. And now I would be coming back with a conversation about, well, Mr. Customer, we're all in business to make money, rather than one about how I can add more value to their business on a day-to-day. So that just didn't really line up well for me. And then beyond that, when I needed support, it just wasn't really a thing. So now I have somebody calls, opens a ticket because a networking device isn't working as expected. I'm taking somebody off a revenue generating activity. I'm putting them into like a support forum or a 4-day SLA on an email only support platform. And all the while, my customer is upset. So I'm not making money and I've got upset customers. That didn't settle well with me. So I switched. I started using what I call the enterprise type solution. And the feature set was there. These devices are feature rich. In fact, they're designed to solve complex IT challenges. They scaled well from a feature and functionality perspective, and they had enterprise quality support. I could call, I could get someone on the phone, and they could help me solve a problem. But the problem here, the con side, was the equipment was really expensive, and so was the licensing. So for me, when I would go out looking to grow my managed services practice and I would issue quotes to, update maybe a firewall because the one this new prospect had was end of life, the quote was at a dollar range that didn't meet the fiscal budgetary requirements of my target audience, small and medium businesses. And so I would actually lose somewhere around 80% of my opportunities based on the cost of hardware, when my goal wasn't to sell and generate profit on hardware, it was to onboard more managed service customers. So our go-to-market strategy was built around the fact that networking just hadn't been built for MSPs prior to Datto. What we aim to do, and I argue have done well, is to deliver flexible pricing options. So you'll find that we have a more traditional CapEx purchasing model where you pay for some hardware and you've got a low reasonable licensing cost that delivers the support and warranty that you need in order to solve problems fast. But we also have a free hardware option. So if you're looking to sell networking as a managed service, you can completely operationalize that cost and remove the barrier of entry to onboarding new customers. Everything's designed for native cloud management. We'll talk briefly about that. Makes it intuitive and simple, but also you can remotely manage all of your customers' networks from anywhere you are in a multi-tenant fashion. We deliver capable hardware, and really important to today's call, we have a fully integrated stack. Now, that was part of Datto's mission by integrating all of our products into the same partner portal, but now we're integrating networking into a platform, and we're going to see that in real life today. And then, of course, support. When you have a problem, you need to be able to reach out and get some assistance so you can solve the problem quickly. So these things all together helped us deliver what we believe, and I truly believe, to be the most MSP-centric networking product line in the world. And in that stack, we've got a full stack. So we've got routers, which are also stateful firewalls. We've got switches, access points. And if you haven't seen it yet, we've also got a SASE solution that we released last year. We call it Datto Secure Edge, a great tool for providing secure access for remote or hybrid workers. Quick highlight on each of the device types, and certainly we'll have an opportunity for you to take a deeper demo and get real deep down the rabbit hole on what all these devices are capable of. The DNA is our firewall. It's an all-in-one device. It's both a high-performance router, a stateful firewall. It has advanced security services, including intrusion detection and prevention and content filtering on board. But if I was going to give you one favorite thing about this device, it's that we integrate LTE in every box that we ship. So you've actually got redundant internet built in. It's more redundant than having two internet service providers because it functions over the wireless network, and it's delivered at a fixed cost. For you, a single point of contact to work with, which is Datto. We control the relationship with the wireless carriers, and we include LTE at a fixed cost where you know what to expect. You add your margin in, resell it to your customer. They can and they can build their operational budget around it, knowing that they won't have to worry about downtime. Just this past year, we released 4 new switches, which apparently on this slide are layer 3 enabled 2 different times. All of these switches have PoE on every single port. They're super easy to configure. We even give you the ability to configure a template and then copy and paste that template across multiple switches. So you could configure one switch in some instances, and instead of having to configure each one start to scratch, which could take countless hours. When I look at access points, we have 3 different devices. All of these devices support Wi-Fi 6. They've got really performant hardware, Qualcomm chipset, high-powered front-end module for additional range and coverage. What I like here is that between the 3 models that we have, we are widely going to be a good fit for any wireless deployment. The 440 on the left, for instance, is indoor-outdoor rated, handles up to 125 concurrent connections. If you're looking to deploy wireless in a high traffic area, we've got the 840s and they work great there. There's 2 different models. One's indoor only, one's indoor outdoor. And as you could see, has some external antennas. We even have a patch antenna if you want to do directional Wi-Fi. So to my point, we have a fit for just about any wireless deployment. Secure Edge, mentioned that just a couple slides ago. So this is our SASE solution. And so this is really going to be cloud managed connectivity where we give you the ability in a very simple way to configure secure access services above and beyond what you would normally expect from your traditional VPN. So we will encrypt traffic, but we will also give you the ability to control applications and to control what content people are able to access. And we're going to integrate with some other products that we'll talk about just in a few slides. But what partners love here is just how easy and scalable it is to set up and deliver. So adding to what Datto's put together over the years, what I truly believe is the vision here at Kaseya, and what's got me excited is IT Complete. And I believe that this is what MSPs need today. In fact, I would argue that if you're looking at any networking solution outside of Datto networking and you're in the IT Complete landscape, you might want to take a second look. We're going to help you to improve efficiency, eliminate vendor fatigue, and we price our things in a flexible way that will help you to grow your business successfully. So looking at some of those integrations, let's take a deeper dive into said IT Complete. Since the acquisition, which is about 1.5 years ago now, we have delivered and or will deliver by the end of this year 20 different integrations for Datto networking. The ones with the asterisks are in a future state, and some of those coming very, very soon. The ones that do not have an asterisk, like Autotask IT Glue, Datto RMM, VSA 10, and Kaseya Quote Manager, are already live. If I break them down by the type of problem they solve, we could first look at business operations. So as noted, we have an integration that we've developed and you will see today with IT Glue. Not only can you document device information here, but you can also document now SSID information and changes and roll back to previous passwords if you needed. Gary is going to show you what that looks like. We've brought this same technology into an integration with Autotask. So when you document devices with the Autotask platform, it will actually assign them to the right organization. It'll give you the ability to automate billing. So no more going through your bill every month and figuring out which customer has which devices and how much did I bill them for. We build that right into the integration with the Autotask platform today. We also give you the ability to automate alerts. So rather than getting noisier than you would like email-based alerts, you can set it up through this integration so that your alerts show up in Autotask as tickets. Those tickets are assigned to the appropriate organization, and from there you have the ability to track time spent working a ticket. That can help you from a how do I bill my customer perspective, or if it's a fully managed customer, it might help you make decisions about whether or not that's a profitable customer and someone you'd like to continue doing business with. When I look at device management, we now integrate with both of our RMM platforms. So the integration with Datto RMM is long-standing. As you can see in this image, we don't only give you the ability to see that networking devices are online or offline, we're also going to import performance statistics and give you a level of control within the RMM dashboard. You'll see that today when I transfer things over to Gary as well. This doesn't only work now with Datto RMM. Many of our partners like VSA. If you like VSA 10, no problem. We integrate with VSA 10 now as well. And I'll leave it a surprise for me as well, but I believe Gary will show you that demo out of the VSN 10 platform. Security. You're going to see a lot of integrations between our networking stack and security services this year. The foundational integration is our SafeCheck service, which is an integration between the SASE solution, Datto Secure Edge, and Datto RMM. So now, not only can we validate that the users who are connecting are trusted users, but we can also validate that the machines that they're connecting on are trusted machines, that they're a managed machine and they have the right patches and updates, and maybe even they have antivirus. And Gary's going to show you a little bit about how that works today too. So to take you through a day in the life, I will transfer things over to Gary, who's going to show you how Datto networking is so easy, even a caveman can do it.
All right. Thank you, Ryan.
Yes,
Great presentation. So yeah, so I'm going to take you through a day in the life of a technician, but primarily gearing towards what this webinar is about. How do we deploy Datto devices within minutes? So being that we're a cloud managed solution, once you purchase one of our pieces of hardware, you can actually start configuring it on the fly before it even gets to its destination or customer site. So deploying it in minutes is going to be the time we take to add the device to our platform, which I'll show you. Also, for the configurations itself, we can migrate them through our DNA, which is going to be our layer 3 device, which is going to be a router and a firewall in one. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get right into it. So we're going to start with your initial purchase, and then we're going to go through how easy it is to deploy these devices. So deploying these devices, once you log into your partner portal, where you're going to go is under your network or your status, and then you're going to go under your networking status. From here, we're going to see a standard or compressed overview. I like the standard view myself, but going through here, we're actually not going to see these devices right off the bat. So these new devices are going to be in a queue for us. We're going to go ahead and unselect hide new devices here. And we're going to see a list of all our devices that are available in order to incorporate them into our platform itself. Now here we can just add to the device, but we also have to add them to a network, meaning a network group, and then the networks are going to fall between that group. So coming into the status, we're now going to go into one of our networks here. So when this is deployed, you'll see a default network within there. And what we're going to do is we're going to be directed to our network manager. So give me a second here while I get into that portal. And here we are. So within the portal, when we get directed here, we're going to go up to all networks. Now, all networks is going to probably, if you're new to Datto networking, is going to be empty. But if you're an existing company, you're going to see a bunch of network groups in here. Now, each network group is going to have a series of networks underneath them. So think of your network group as in a hierarchy as the top level, and then coming down our individual locations or files, that however we want to look at this, is going to be your networks themselves. Now, these are going to be the containers. These containers are where when we plug in our devices, once they reach their destination, they're going to perform neighbor discovery. Those devices are going to reach out to the devices around them, and then they're going to know which network that they're going to fall on, given where they are at within the data networking stack, meaning layer 3, every device is your switches, and then your access points fall beneath them, they'll fall right in line. So when we look at our network status portal, and we define a network here, depending on which layer that we're at, they're going to fall right into there. So when we come in here into our networks, once we have them deployed, it's going to be easy. Just to go, we have a few different options. So from here, we can just simply add the device within our portal here. When we add one, we can see our hide new devices here. We can register the device within here and then apply it to that network group. But once we go into the network itself, we can go ahead and move a device within here. I can go into my switches, my access points, and I can go ahead and add a switch from here. So once I have that device or I purchase the device, I'm going to receive the data from that, meaning I'm going to receive its MAC address, which is something that we're going to need. You're going to input that unique address within here. You're going to give it a name, a description, and then the initial settings. So the initial settings here, we can form a template or even from an existing switch. So if you're deploying multiple switches to environments, like let's say your default from your ISP is 192.168.0.x and you're keeping that IP format across, or maybe you're changing it, you can go ahead and apply that template or even an existing switch configuration to make that deployment easier. Again, getting more efficient with your deployment. Please take advantage of any of these options to you, because it is going to make that, at least that initial deployment, then you can define your VLANs or whatever layer that you're using data networking in through the configuration, through the network manager. Now here we have our deployment. So you can see how fast, how easy deploying a networking device is, especially in transit. When as soon as we give it power, we give it Ethernet, or we give it the internet connection to the WAN, we can go ahead and apply this configuration to upon startup. Now we have this device on our network. What do we do from here? So Ryan actually brought up the IT complete vision that we have. So yes, all of our solutions are talking with one another. So why not take advantage of that? So here, usually the lifeblood of an MSP is going to be your documentation. These devices are going to have to be incorporated within that organization's documentation. So you can see the configuration files, we can see any status. If we have other sources where we can integrate our data networking equipment, we're going to see the real value out of that, which makes us unique from a lot of other vendors that you'll see out there. So when we look at our documentation, when we create the sync within data networking, which is going to go through here through your partner portal. So when we look at our partner portal, we'll look at our data RMM or our auto task integrations here, which is going to feed into IT Glue. There's also another one native to IT Glue, which Ryan brought up to us, which is going to be for our wireless configurations. So here under our global admin, we're going to see our integrations pane here. This integrations section is going to have a section for data networking. Now, to generate this public-private key pair, this API key, we're going to have to go into our network manager here. We're going to go under admin. We're going to go under integrations. So when we go under integrations here, we do have a networking API that we are going to use that's specific to data networking. But for this specific integration, these API keys, we're going to have to generate it here. And we can use an existing key, but this is going to create that API connection between IT Glue and data networking. Here we have a manual sync. So anytime we have a change that has been sent or a device that's been added, you're going to see these unmatched items here. So once we are talking with this active integration, we're going to go into our organization. Now our organization here, with that data networking wireless, we have these apps and services. We do have a knowledge-based article that's going to illustrate this process, but for the time being, we'll just jump right into its functionality. You can see here that when I log in or when I enter into this apps and service, I see 3 items here. These are going to be the SSIDs that are going to be enabled within our network manager. So here I have these 3 SSIDs, but with data networking, with our access points, we have 4 SSIDs or service set identifiers that are available that can be configured independent of each other. So for instance, when I have 3 out of the 4 enabled, I can go into my network manager. I can go into the SSID that it is disabled. I can go ahead and enable this. And if I change the password, I can do that as well. What I'll do is go ahead and save the changes here. This will take 1 to 2 minutes to take effect. But let's go ahead and go back to our admin. Instead of waiting for the predetermined sync to take place, let's just go ahead and manually sync this. So I'm going to start a manual sync here, and then we'll go back to our organization and let's see how fast that integration has played for us here. You can see it's pretty real time, right? Is pretty impressive on how that sync takes place, at least from our wireless, and it will give you versioning as well to our pre-shared key. If we're using a pre-shared key for authentication, we're using a radius server. Obviously, it's going to point there for authentication. But stay tuned. An Active Directory integration is coming in the future. So within here, when I click on the Wi-Fi network, you can see I have all the metadata here. The SAE mix, that's just for WPA3, since they use a different authentication than WPA2. You're going to see that mix there. That's a WPA2 to WPA3 mix. And then we're going to have our pre-shared key. So here, again, it's going to have the versioning. So anytime that you do change this, this is going to be available to you or any one of your technicians that can be piped into the authentication pane there to connect to the wireless, whichever service set identifier. So here we can just show the password. We can see the versioning here. But again, it's real-time monitoring to our network, given this integration right here. And I really like the devices that are connected to here. Also within IT Glue, while we're here, we also have configurations of the items. So let's say we have our switch. So our switch is going to have data that's going to be imported from multiple sources. The more sources we have, the more information we're going to get in here. So with our integrations, if we're using IT Glue for our documentation, let's say we do have data networking, and then maybe we have an RMM with Kaseya, which is going to be data RMM or BSA. And then on top of that, the PSA, that train right there is going to grab information configuration files from the source, populate it, and then using data RMM into AutoTask, that's going to be our source of truth, which is going to be our PSA system and that integration stack there, or the flow. Pipe that into IT Glue, we're going to get a lot more information out of here when we do enable all those integrations. Again, having a widespread solution set within the Kaseya platform. So within here with IT Glue, we'll go ahead and take a look at our AutoTask integration. So you can see here that I have a number of alerts with this AutoTask integration within our network manager. When we scroll down to the bottom, when we enable the AutoTask integration, you're going to see that it is connected. You most likely want to create a service account just for this, given the security issues of it. You can see the company networks that we can go ahead and map to one another. They don't have to be the same within Network Manager or in AutoTask. You can just map one-to-one based off of your requirements and how you your naming convention. And then here we have our ticket dispatch settings. So here we can set our AutoTask priority here where they're feeding into our workflow. But when we come down to our alerts, once this integration is set up, you'll notice that you now have send alert, either usually it's by email, and then that could get piped into your ticketing system. But for here, you'll see AutoTask. So any one of these events that do happen based on, again, on the hardware that you have, we can go ahead and generate a ticket within AutoTask and then assign it to the appropriate technician or technicians or group of technicians to respond to that. So moving on to our data RMM. So if we want to take a look at here, and give me 1 second. So our data RMM integration with data networking gives us one pane of glass. That's what we're trying to create here, because I've worked at MSPs being a technician. If I could just be in one pane where I could get all of the information that I need, that saves me time rather than logging in, switching in between platforms, especially if I'm limited with screens wherever I am. We've all been there where we just have a laptop and we just have a little device and we're just going in between, trying to section it off as much as we can. So having one screen where the most information and functionality is going to be available is going to bring a tremendous amount of value, especially for a technician that you have to send on site who might not have access to a lot of the equipment that they're used to. So within here, once we create this integration, what we're going to have is the ability to look at the switch within here. And then we're going to get a summary here. We're going to see any policies that are related to it. We're going to get the metadata here, MAC address, basic hardware details, and then with our ports. So we can see when ports are enabled, which is going to be in green. Those are going to be your access ports or your ports that are going directly to your endpoints or your machines. And then we have our trunk or uplink ports here, which are going to be in blue. These are going to go from networking device to networking device. Now you can have a chain of switches if you have that backbone layer, or it can just be routed up to layer 3 to your router or UTM device. Within here, what I do like is that I can see the connected devices within here. So I know here where my clients are. If I go to an access point, the same thing. I can see how many devices here given. Are they switching from one access point to another, roaming in a larger environment? Maybe they get stuck on one access point and don't migrate over to the other. Now we have a roaming issue. So it kind of helps us, at least on the networking side, I think, get a high level overview of our network and our clients and kind of where they're at. So we can kind of troubleshoot further, whether we need to expand the width of our signal and things of that nature. So within here, we can also see any related devices. So that's using, again, the neighbor discovery. If we were to daisy chain our switches, we would see our neighbors within there. We also have our network traffic here. We can look at the month, day, the week, and the hours, add any notes. And then there's also user-defined fields that we can put in there to pipe in other metrics as well. Here, we'll take a look at our BSA-X or BSA-10 integration, which here, how we perform this integration, because I do get some questions about this, will be here under integrations and data networking. So this data networking integration will be using that data networking API, which is going to be right here. So this data networking API, once you have enabled it, you can go ahead and create that public-private key pair that's used to access the API with our servers. And then that will create that integration for you. And that's as simple as it is. Once you plug that in, you go back into VSA-X or VSA-10, and you go under systems, and we can see all of our systems within here, much like we had in Data RMM, but a different user interface. So within here, we'll look at our switch. We can see an overview. We can see where it is, the asset info. So if I want to see any data that I'm looking for, I can have custom fields. I can go right into my documentation from here. A lot of data. I can see my upload and download speeds for the environment going through the switch itself. I can control the ports. So here I can see the description. I can see if it's in duplex mode or mixed mode. I can see also here the up and download speed and when the last poll was. So a lot of functionality coming out of this device here. And I can also go right into my network manager. That's a nice thing. I can go switch right into the configuration or what I'm trying to troubleshoot, or maybe I'm just trying to do that initial configuration between that device. It puts me right over into the switch, into the network that is integrated with it, that is pointing to, and then I can come in here and go into my switch settings, and then I can do whatever it is I need. And that is kind of a day in the life and the power that we have with data networking. So deploying our devices within minutes, and then after we deploy them, how they're integrated with our trifecta, right? Our documentation, our RMM, and ultimately our ticketing system, which will make us more efficient because as things get routed, we have multiple places where we can go ahead and configure, troubleshoot, and get our customers back up and running. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Ryan.
I was on mute. That was awesome, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
I answered a few tough questions or softball questions while you were doing your thing. So
all right, I'm all ready for questions. So if we have some, let's go. Oh, okay, yeah, let's do it.
While we wait, what would be a webinar with some sort of special offer, especially for the Robbins crew here? So we've got a unique promotion, and this promotion runs from now all the way until the end of March. So you have 2 months to tally up orders and get those orders placed. For any access point or switch, no minimum requirement and no maximum requirement. You can order one, you can order 1,000 of a unit. We are willing and able to provide you with a 20% discount off of both the hardware and the service, and we will include 6 free months of service on a 36-month term. So from the day you place the order until 6 months out from there will be no cost for licensing whatsoever. You will only be bound to a cost for licensing for the remaining 30 months. People who seem to like promotions like this have two ways that they use it. One often is, I'm going to deploy the gear now and I'm going to be 100% in the green from now until the end of that free period. Or folks who know that they have projects upcoming and would like to take advantage of the deeper discount. Whatever it looks like, feel free to zap that QR code. We can get on a consultation call and or a product overview and demonstration, and we can walk you through those details as well as answer any questions you have about how Datto networking can help the do-it-all IT professional be more efficient. Thank you so much for your time. If you have questions, we'll be happy to answer those. And Tanya, you could lead the way. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you guys. So we've got a couple. I know Wesley put in the chat here, will you be sending pricing sheets?
If you'd like pricing information, please scan the QR code, and we'd be happy to connect and provide that to you for sure.
Awesome. We did have one that came up. It said, we have the old Datto equipment not being used. Is there a place we can send them back and get some form of credit for them, maybe get a new one from that?
We don't necessarily have a trade-in program, but I'd be interested in understanding more about what they have now and where they'd like to get and see what kind of creative way we could do that. What I'll do is I'll put my email in the chat here. And feel free to reach out to me directly and we can tackle that.
Great. Yep, looks like we've got another one from Brian. He said he's been using Datto networking for a long time, and wants to know if you're planning on bringing back any of the smaller switches that you guys used to carry.
Well, right now we have two 8-port switches. So we have the 8-port micro switch, which is small. It does not make any noise, has no fan. It does have some additions to the old, what would be the L8, in that it's got more PoE available, and it has fiber uplinks, which the L8 did not have, but it's in the same form factor. I don't suspect, although I don't know, that we're going to bring out smaller switches, so to speak, but I do know that we have plans to broaden the lineup by adding maybe things like a fiber aggregator in time and other solutions that will help you standardize on Datto switching for all of your customers.
Very good. And looking through chat real quick just to make sure that we didn't miss anything. Yes, we will be recording this. This will go out to you. Joe, I know you have your hand up. If you want to throw a question either in chat or in Q&A, we can definitely get that answered for you. Looked like Dwayne was asking earlier on, is this a setup only for Wi-Fi? I'm not sure if that was for networking or if that's a different question all in of itself, but thought I'd set that out there to you. Ryan.
I didn't understand the question.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But so Dwayne, if we missed it, feel free to put it in the chat or in the Q&A, and we'll make sure we get that answered for you. So does not look like we've got anything else. Do you want to talk about any of the ones that you answered?
Yeah, why not? Let me just go back and refresh my memory. So first question, does the LTE backup on the routers include options for Canada? The answer is yes. We have different roaming agreements in different countries. So we support North America, including Canada. We support Europe. We also support Australia and Singapore with LTE services. The next question that I answered said, are there any plans to bring back the managed power product? And it had a follow-up, which said, also, any plans to improve the logging capabilities on the DNA? And the answer was a double yes. So for those who had attended DattoCon, our GM did announce that we have intentions to bring back managed power. We have a target date that we're pushing, which would be Q2 this year. That is always subject to change, but that is our goal and intention. So good news there. And then also good news on the logging front. Historically, we only offered exportable logs for our access points. We have updated how those logs look, the format that you can export them in so that they can be ingested into a service like Datto Managed SOC or maybe a SIEM that you use. We have recently added that same update to switching. So historically, we did not offer logging on switching. That is now available as of about 2 weeks ago. And we are presently working on making the same a reality for the DNA. In the end, and this is on the short-term roadmap, but in the end, all three products and services will integrate with our managed SOC tool, which we call Rocket Cyber.
Very cool.
And then another one was, do we have to get IT Glue to manage this instead of the networking portal? The answer is no. If you're only interested in Datto networking, we have a complete cloud controller, and you could certainly buy, manage, deliver, deploy, configure all of the devices without any of the other products in the IT Complete stack. There is value, of course, to integrating with a documentation tool like IT Glue. And then I think we answered the others.
Yeah, okay, great. Well, I'm going to launch the poll. So I just sent that out there. If you guys could answer those, we would appreciate that. This is great information for us to have at the end of the webinar here. And I'm going to give a couple minutes for you guys to do that. I have asked for our people to pull the winner for the $500. So I should be getting that information very quickly. But if you do have any other questions that come up, Ryan did put his email address in the chat, so feel free. I'm sure he's fine with you emailing him directly, and he'll be able to answer anything that you may have. All right, so looks like those poll questions are coming in, and I appreciate that. We do have a winner, and it is Steve Etterington. Steve, yay, I know Steve well, so congratulations, Steve. We will be getting that out. They'll make sure our team knows to get that out to you. So thank you for staying on it and winning, $500 from us. Sorry, Ryan, sorry, Gary, you guys did not win.
We should have a separate poll for like people who can guess
for-
what Gary used to do before he was super smart IT guy.
Yeah, there you go. Have like Jeopardy, right? Pick the $500 question and see where you can go.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Right, we just had your email address requested again, so I just made sure everybody got that. But I do appreciate you guys, coming and listening. Ryan, Gary, anything else you guys want to say, or we will let everybody go?
From my side, no,
Thank you
but
for the
if
time.
you're, yeah, thank you for your time. If you are an existing Datto networking partner of ours, please feel free to get with myself or any member of our team. Just get with your account manager, ask for a CSE session. I'll go over everything that I went through today, help you plan out those integrations, and help you configure or troubleshoot your network if need be. So yeah, feel free to reach out to us.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you guys, and we will see you in a couple of weeks. Have a great day.
You too.